I want to zoom in a little bit, man. Let's get my mug up there. Run it back, nation. What is good? It is your boy DJ Eastwood. This is Greg Melly, aka Sixers Greg, on Twitter. You know the drill. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Hit the like button on the stream. Subscribe if you're new, even if you're a Raptors fan and you're still hanging around. I know you guys are hanging around now. You're going to be gone in about 6 games, my prediction, but you can stay subscribed to the channel. That's nice. I'm giving you content. We got to wait till Saturday to watch a Sixers game. That sucks. So, what the hell do we do until Saturday, Greg? What do we do, man? So we're going to hang out. We're going to talk about the Nets and Cavs game that just went down, the play-in tournament. And we're going to talk about a couple of other topics, Joel Embiid, MVP things, a chart that I have from Mr. Crockpot that might scare you about the Sixers-Raptors series, Paul Reed victory tour, James Harden, is he washed or not? A lot of things, man. What's going on, Greg?
Yo, Sixers and 6. Let's get into it.
That's it. That's your prediction right off the bat, Sixers and 6?
Right off the bat, Sixers and 6.
Don't forget, my friends, join the Discord and put yourself in the call waiting room. We'll take some calls on the Discord as well. If you want to join the conversation, go ahead and do that. I got some Bud Light Platinum over here. All right. I will not be shotgunning Miller Lite cans for anybody that thinks I'm ever going to do that again.
Was that a thing once upon a time?
You didn't see that.
I didn't. I didn't see that.
I did an end of season celebration episode where I shotgunned a Miller Lite can every time the donations hit $20, and I quit after 13 Miller Lite shotguns. Yes, it was
good for you.
I knew it was a terrible idea. And yesterday, that was Sunday night, and yesterday was not good. Yesterday was not good for me. So I'm 75% recovered right now. I'm just never doing that again. I don't care I don't care. That was brutal. Anyway, Cavs and Nets played in the play-in tournament. Of course, us Sixers fans were hoping and dreaming that the Cleveland Cavaliers could somehow, some way upset the Brooklyn Nets. What do you think after watching that game? Are we scared of the Nets? I mean, Cavs kept it close and it actually came back. The Brooklyn was up by 20 in the first quarter. Cavs made it a fun game, but never really seemed like they had much of a chance.
No. I will say it was the easiest $50 ever at Romp because we did make that bet with if the Nets were going to make the playoffs. Obviously, they made the playoffs. I appreciate that donation, Romp. But yeah,
Romp bet you on that?
What's up?
Romp bet you $50 that the Cavs would take that game?
Nah, he bet me $50 like a month and a half ago that the Nets wouldn't make the playoffs. So now that they're officially in, that's easy bread. It's a beautiful donation to the YouTube channel, Romp. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, dude, without Jared Allen, the Cavs stuck with them. They came back. It was weird. Like Steve Nash took out KD for like a 3.5-minute span, like in the beginning of the fourth quarter, end of the third, and that's when the Cavs made their comeback. And it was like giving me Doc Rivers vibes big time. But the Nets are a tough team, dude. I think they're gonna beat the Celtics in 7. So
I think so.
Tough. Especially with Robert Williams out. Yeah, they're getting the Celtics at the best time. Dude, the Nets are really good. Defensively, they were nice tonight.
Yeah, they were nice holding the Cavs to 108. And I thought the Cavs, the main thing that stuck out to me is that, like, once the Cavs started double-teaming Kyrie and Durant and making them choose somebody else, they had a plan B, which seems like the Sixers and Doc Rivers don't always have or don't ever have. I don't know. But the Bruce Brown in the middle of the floor and then Nick Claxton under the basket, like at the end of the fourth quarter, it seemed like they did it like 5 different times where they double Kyrie or Durant. They just, like, Bruce Brown comes around a screen or whatever, gets the ball right at the free throw line. They got to step up and he throws a lob. And it was like, where the hell is the Cavs defense? But it's all because they started the possession with a double team because they couldn't stop either one of those guys in the first place. So, when we thought we had, and I don't know if we have yet, but at least the first 4 games that James Harden put a Sixers jersey on, we thought we had that same lethal, two guys that you can't stop. I would like to see Tyrese Maxey in that role that Steve Nash had Bruce Brown in, where he's a clear third option and they have clear designed plays when those double teams come to the other guys. Is that just outside of Doc Rivers' coaching creativity?
Well, that's an obvious answer. That was a rhetorical question if I've ever seen one. But like, it's a little different because Bruce Brown is like a physical guard who gets away with playing like the 4, and the way he slips on screens and sets screens is just so beautiful. But then they get like he plays Draymond Green. Like that is exactly what his role is, and that alley oop to Nick Claxton was there all night long, and Claxton didn't miss a shot from the field because everything was a dunk, and it's interesting to watch because it's like Cleveland just had no answer for it. And Evan Mobley's a great defender, but he was getting eaten alive down there. No Jarrett Allen really showed. Cleveland's defense was, especially in the fourth quarter, I was just like, I don't understand what we're doing here. Like, I understand we have to double team Kyrie, and KD made some ridiculous, tough KD shots, but like, we should not be giving easy alley-oop after easy alley-oop on a 2v1 in the paint with Bruce Brown and Nick Claxton. It was weird. It was weird. I would have been angry if I was a Cavs fan because I think the game, once they got it back down to like 7, I think they could have won that, but they were just outmanned.
I don't remember the Jarrett Allen injury.
Yeah, it was a month ago maybe.
And is he out? Is he out for the playoffs?
I don't know. That's a good question. I will look that up, but I think so. Now Cleveland has to worry about beating either Atlanta or Charlotte, and I think Atlanta takes that. So that's tough, man, because teams like that just have top 8 offenses and shoot a ton of threes, they can win on any given night. Like a 7-game series is a different story, but like all it takes is just one 23-point game, and that's really hard to beat.
Yeah, seriously, it is. That's why I get hyped for a play-in tournament game because the Nets could have had an off night, and it's like please just have a bad shooting night and get kicked out in the first before you even get to through the play-in tournament. But they pulled it out. For those that didn't watch, Kyrie Irving. Here's the thing: I've had, and people that watch this channel a lot know all of the negative things that I've said about Kyrie Irving, cancer, Kyrie, everything else. And I'm a very open-minded. I change my mind on things sometimes. I'm not changing my mind totally on Kyrie Irving because I think he's insane. But right now, where he's at right now mentally, Kyrie Irving's first of all making me religious. Okay. Kyrie Irving's making me religious. And listen, this is why. Kyrie Irving is fasting right now. Okay. For Ramadan. This guy can't consume a calorie from sun up to sundown. No food, no water from sun up to sundown. So that's an added element to this guy already being like a guy that kind of wants to play basketball, kind of doesn't care, and then just randomly shows up and drops the most efficient 50-point game in the NBA history. He's already that naturally good at the game. Now he's going out there with no food and no water in his body and doing this in the NBA playoffs. It's crazy. So Kyrie Irving, while fasting, he was shooting 100% until the fourth quarter. He finished with 34 points, 12 for 15. He missed 3 shots the entire game and 12 assists. And they asked him post-game, you're fasting for Ramadan. Where do you get this? Where did you get any energy at all? And he looked at the camera and he was like, God is inside me. And
oh my God.
And God is inside you. And
Bro,
I was
that's some Mike Tyson. That's some Mike Tyson shit.
I was like, dude, that's it. I don't know. I believe it. The earth is flat. Anything Kyrie Irving says, I believe now.
Dude, so, I'm buying sage right after we're done here. I'm going to go buy some sage and burn it all over because that's the scariest, most intimidating answer of all time. Oh, my God. Kyrie Tyson, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, he was a dog. Like, he was insane. Like, KD only had 21 going into the fourth. Like, it wasn't like he was going crazy, and they were still winning. Kyrie was just a dog.
Yeah, but the thing is about the Nets, you're saying they're going to beat Boston in 7.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to take Boston in that series, just because I think Boston is deeper, and I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to have games where they don't shoot as well. And I think it's always been the story with them, with this recent team, is that they're top heavy. They don't have a lot of depth, even though adding Goran Dragic ended up being he hit a three there in the third quarter, and he's back a ball handler off the bench here and there. But I still don't think they're very deep compared to most teams. Not that we are either, but I think that they'll have some cold shooting nights in the playoffs, and that's pretty much it. Like KD and Kyrie have to be hot for them to beat Boston in a 7-game series. They might do it. I just think Boston's deeper, better defensively, even though they lost Robert Williams, who that is a big loss. But um, I'll take Boston in that series. But are you who like the Nets? Are you scared of the Nets, or is this like a crazy shooting night, or are they as that a threat to win the whole thing, like ESPN's been saying the whole season?
Yeah, yeah. The Nets are a threat. Like, dude, they got KD and Kyrie. Like, I think they're the real deal. And I mean, I hate Ben Simmons, dude. I really do. I really, really do. But like, yeah, he's just another guy. He's just another guy for Boston. I mean, for Brooklyn. And I think Brooklyn's deeper than
Do you think he's gonna play?
maybe eventually. But like, if he does, I don't even think he has to. If he doesn't, I still think Brooklyn's probably the front runner coming out of the East, in my opinion. But they have a tough road. Like, not only do they have to play a playing game, and Kyrie, KD, and Bruce Brown all logged 40 plus minutes, but then they're going to have to play Boston, who is the hottest team in the NBA since January, and then they're going to have to play probably Milwaukee, which is just, I mean, that's a dogfight. And like, it's one thing to win a 7-game series in round one, but to come back in round two and then win another 7-game series that's probably going to go 7, like that's a lot of games. A lot of games. I saw a couple people predictions for the Sixers like making it to the finals, and there were 3-game 7 wins. And I was like, dude, the Sixers are not winning
Oh,
3-game 7s. Like, it's just not happening. That's so hard for a team to do, and especially for the Sixers and Doc Rivers, where I'm just like, the only reason I have the Sixers in 6 is because if they go 7, they lose.
I said that today on Twitter too. I was like, this team cannot go game 7, because game 7, I feel like you'll get that game where Toronto looked like they did in our last matchup, where they're just clicking on what you could get that game where Toronto's just clicking on all cylinders. Of course, we were playing them without Fred Van Vliet and OG Anunoby, so do they have both of those guys back now?
Yeah,
They were resting them. They weren't even injured, right? They were
yeah,
just resting them. Like,
they're
no,
back.
we're
Yeah.
resting players and we beat you. That's embarrassing actually. But yeah, if you go game 7, they're just that team that's going to out hustle you, out rebound you, out just dog you. You don't want to be in a game 7 with the Toronto Raptors.
No, it's Nick Nurse, man. I mean, we've been there
Yeah.
before, 2019. We know exactly how that went. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's the same team for either side because it's not, but it's the same coach. It's the same mastermind behind the whole scheme. Philly's got a tough road, man, but at the same time, Philly's on the softer side of the bracket. So, we have an easier route to the Eastern Conference Finals than Brooklyn or Milwaukee or Boston. So, pick and choose.
I said yesterday, I think Toronto is our toughest matchup.
Yeah. I'm more worried about Toronto than I would be Miami. I think Miami is just the biggest fraud first seed since the Sixers last year.
Since the Sixers last year.
And the Jazz. Last year was just full of fraud 1 seeds.
Yeah, because last year there was still a bunch of COVID stuff going on, man, and like we didn't really play anybody at full strength the entire season basically. And I was saying that, and people were, "Oh, you're so negative. A win is a win." I'm like, no, I'm looking at us going to the playoffs. I think Doc Rivers is going to kill us. I think Ben Simmons is going to kill us, and I, of course, was right about both of those things. And you watch the team against teams, and you try to gauge how good they can be in the playoffs and whether they can win a championship or not. So we were playing a bunch of scrubs like the whole second half of that season because nobody was playing anybody, any of their starters. Every time we hardly ever got a matchup where it was both teams and full rosters. So
That
yeah, I
and
would
Doc
I would I
Rivers
would
is
say
that and the whole Doc Rivers' first year. Like, teams always seem to do well when there's like a new fresh coach with a big resume, and all of a sudden the Sixers look good and everyone's like, let's throw Doc Rivers a parade, but obviously that folds when he is the all-time leader in most 3-1 series.
And you just knew all the things he was saying about Ben the whole season. You knew it was going to be bad because you knew he wasn't going to make any adjustment. He was going to try to run Ben at point. They were going to back up 20 feet. The spacing in the half court was going to be horrible. And then you have to like find a pseudo makeshift point guard out of thin air because your point guard can't play point guard. And we knew that was going to happen, but he didn't know that because he was new. So it's like, we knew that because we've been here for 5 years.
Right.
He shows up. He doesn't know what we know. He tells us all we're stupid the whole season. And then we're like, bro, we tried to tell you.
Dude, it's the same thing as this year, man. It's the same exact thing that he's doing with Paul Reed. But he has just become the most arrogant, like, piece of shit I could ever imagine. Like, he's the most hateable human being alive. Like look what Alec Boehm did yesterday. He basically was like, I freaking hate Philadelphia. I hate this place. And then we gave him a standing ovation tonight because he owned up to it. That's all it takes, Doc. But instead, Doc Rivers is like, his response to that question was like, we watch every single game. Like, this is our job. First of all, Doc, I would hope you watch every single game. You are the goddamn head coach of the team. You have no choice to watch every single game. It's literally your only thing you have to do is stand there and watch. And half the time, I don't even feel like he's watching the game. But he's like, yeah, me and my assistant coaches watch every game. Like, how about you let us do our job? This isn't a Paul Reed victory tour. Dude's a 54th pick in the draft who just had an insane career-high 25-point night. Hustles his ass off. He's a weird player, yeah, but he's a baller. And Doc is just a scumbag about it. Like, if I'm Paul Reed, dude, I want to play for a different coach.
Well, I just saw a rumor today that James Harden wants Doc out of here at the end of the season. So, but I don't want to get into that because I think James probably wants Mike D'Antoni. But and I don't know how I feel about that either. Yeah. But yeah, the Doc Rivers thing to me,
white men. I'm tired of these 70-year-old freaking old time coaches.
The Doc Rivers thing to me has reached a point where I start to look at how he's coming off, and I start to say to myself, who in this entire organization thinks that this is good? Like what owner or Daryl Morey or anybody watching his actions in those post-game press conferences is saying, yeah, it's fine. Like, no, this is clearly a disaster right now. This guy sits up in a press conference. He's angry at the fact, this is the crazy part, he's angry at the fact that he played the player we've been telling him to play, and the kid is good.
We were right.
And the kid is good at what we thought he would be good at, which is, I mean, it's not right. Blows my mind. Again, I'll go back to, Doug Peterson with the Eagles, like with the worst offensive line in the league and a young quarterback. Maybe don't throw the ball 60 times, right? This is obvious. On one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, maybe play the G League MVP who averaged like 18 rebounds a game in the G League. Like, it's not that hard.
Dude, another thing, like, not only everything we're saying, but Doc Rivers straight up lied. He lied. He was like, if you look back at this season, all season long, we've been playing matchups at the center. When it's a small rotation, we put in Paul Reed. When it's a big rotation, we put in DeAndre Jordan. Bro, it took you 79 games to play Paul Reed minutes. Paul Reed literally went like 2 months without touching a basketball court. He was in Delaware getting reps. How dumb does he think we are? Like, we watch every single game, dude. Like, you can't just tell me that you've been playing Paul Reed an ample amount of opportunity because you haven't. Like, you're just finally now being you've been stubborn all year. The fans have told you. Everybody in his ear is probably telling him to play Paul Reed, and he's probably like, fine, damn it, I'll play Paul Reed. He goes out and gets 25 points. He gets 4 steals in 6-7 minutes that he had, and now he's like, this isn't a Paul Reed victory tour. Like, dude, shut the hell up, man.
That's the thing. Did you ever meet it? Dude, and it comes off to me as like actual psychosis, like actual, there's something going on. Like, this
narcissism, bro.
Straight up narcissism. You ever meet somebody like that? They will never be wrong.
No, it's the worst.
They will never, ever be wrong. They could be caught red-handed, and they will find an excuse every single time. They will always, always, always blame somebody else, or they'll argue something that's clearly wrong until they're blue in the face, and you're like, bro, you're just wrong. Just admit it. Just admit that you're wrong. And also, like, when that happens and you're walking up to the podium, all of these reporters that watch the game intently and write about the team every day are obviously going to ask you that. How can
As
you
they
be so
should.
angry at a question that you should have known was going to be the question?
And it's as simple as him just doing exactly what we just said. Is like literally it's just admitting that you were wrong. It's okay, dude. We don't care about the past anymore. We don't care about the first 79 games as long as you can admit that you were wrong and now he's going to see more minutes, but he literally cannot even do that. Like I swear to God, DJ, if we have DeAndre Jordan running minutes on a consistent basis, I am going to scream. I will drive to Philadelphia and like I will find Doc Rivers and Will Smith slap him directly in the face because there's no excuse at this point. And then he's like, okay, for moving on now, we're going to play the backup five depending on the other team's rotation. If it's a small ball team, we're going to play Paul Reed and vice versa with DeAndre Jordan. Okay, so like let's look at the matchups we got here. There is no reason in any lineup that DeAndre Jordan plays in Toronto because their biggest man is Chris Boucher, and he doesn't stand inside the three-point line. So if DeAndre Jordan's on the court in series number 1, Doc is already lost. He has already done a poor job. Series number 2, if we play Miami, which we probably will, they have Bam Adebayo, another more so smaller center.
6'10".
Okay, unless it's Dwayne Dedmon. If Dwayne Dedmon is on the court, I will allow DeAndre Jordan to play basketball. Other than that, Paul Reed. Every goddamn minute. I cannot believe that Doc Rivers is this arrogant. He will literally lose his job over this. Like he is willing to die at the stake for DeAndre Jordan. I don't know what DeAndre Jordan has done to Doc Rivers to deserve this kind of love, but it's insane. It's literally insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those that didn't watch the press conference, oh man, what was his name, man? Derek Bodner is the reporter that asked him straight up. He said, with Paul Reed's success in recent games, is there any regret not playing him the past couple of months? He straight up asked him that. Is there any regret maybe not playing him? And he got pissed off and he looked right at him and he said, all right, listen, I'm going to say this slow so everybody gets it. I'm like, oh my God, is this guy serious?
Unreal.
I'm going to say it slow so all you fucking idiots in this room that are not Doc Rivers understand. He thinks he's the smartest person on the planet. So he says, against small lineups, we play Paul Reed. Against bigs, we feel like we're better with DeAndre Jordan, which, hey, no, you're not. He's a negative. 100 times out of 100. I don't know what number you're looking at that tells you he's better. But also, no, you don't play Paul Reed against me. You played him 3 games at the end of the season. You didn't play him for. So Derek responds, and you can hear him say, he's like, well, up until the last 3 games, that's not the case. And Doc got even more angry because now he just told him he's wrong to his face in front of the media again. It was just, the guy's insane, but he lied. And then he's like, well, that's not true at all. And Doc like gets more angry. And I can't stand this guy anymore, which, by the way, I think that the reason he ended up on that list with potential coaches for the Lakers next season is because I really think no matter what happens this season, there's going to be an agreement, a mutual agreement, because this guy can't handle Philadelphia.
No.
You're in a city where the arena was just chanting the name of a 5th string center out of the G League. That's the kind of fans that are in this city. They know every single thing that's going on. You can't lie to us. This city will hate you, and I mean, it'll be bad. And I don't think Doc Rivers can really handle that level of like people knowing that he's lying or people knowing what he's doing wrong.
He's been terrible from the moment he came in when it comes to just interviews. And the craziest thing is like Sixers reporters are relatively polite and nice. Like we tend to have a pretty easygoing reporting at the end of games, and Doc still can't handle it. Like he would be dead in the Philadelphia Eagles post-game interviews. Like he would not survive those. He would not survive those. And
Howard Eskin.
Oh my God, dude. He would be done. He would be done. And Michael Levin made a really good point when he was like, okay, so Doc says if we go up against small ball teams, we'll play Paul Reed and vice versa with DeAndre Jordan. But why can't we set the precedent? Why can't we set the tone and put out a certain lineup so the other team adjusts to us? Like, why do we have to have a reactionary lineup at all times? Like, that is not good coaching. Like, that's just not, like, instead of trying to outsmart your opponent, or instead of trying to outcoach your opponent, you're simply just reacting to his coaching. Like, that's not going to win you games, dude. It's just not. And His whole Boston Celtics era is such a disappointing team. The fact that that team only won one championship with the first
Mhm.
ever real modernized super team.
Mhm.
Oh my god. Oh my god, man. But
I mean,
D'Antoni's no better.
that team, yeah, D'Antoni, yeah, I don't know. I mean, D'Antoni, my opinion on D'Antoni is that he had like a couple of seasons where he decided. So it was like the era where everybody was trying to do what the Warriors did, right? And it was like, but everybody didn't think about the fact that there's only one Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You can't do that. Don't try to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. But they're looking at the numbers. This is the reason you got to look at the game, and numbers are subjective, right? They're looking at the numbers and they're saying this team shoots more threes than everybody and beats everybody. So they're like, D'Antoni's like, well, let's just shoot more threes and then we'll make more threes and then we'll win all the games. So he trades away his center, plays Robert Covington literally at the 5 because he wants everybody to be able to shoot a 3 on the court, and he thinks we'll just run a 5 out, we'll shoot more threes than everyone, and we'll win. And that did not work at all because you're not Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So that was that era. I don't know if he has that mindset like permanently. Like I don't know if he would come to a team like this and try to do that. People assume that he would. That like Joel Embiid then would be on the perimeter a lot more because D'Antoni loves shooting threes. I don't know, but I know that what he tried to do in Houston, especially when he traded away Capella,
How
did
much
not
do you
look
think
smart.
how much do you think was on D'Antoni over Morey for that era though? Do you think that was more of a MDA or a Daryl Morey type of thing?
It could have been Morey. It was some. If it wasn't D'Antoni, it could have been Morey. Yeah, I mean, it could have been anybody above him. It could have been an owner. It could have been anybody that looked at the numbers and thought they were a genius that day and said, "Look, man, they shoot 45 threes a game. We shoot 32. They win because they shoot more threes. We need to shoot more threes." That's literally the decision that they made that didn't work out because you don't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on your team. So there was an era. There was a couple years there. It was like 5 years there where teams tried to be the Warriors, and now
Yeah.
we're all realizing that's not a thing. That's a very rare team, um, and we're almost back to reality where teams are playing centers. We're not back to the '90s. There's not centers and power forwards and all that in the paint. But Kyle Ducelier, thank you for the super chat. He says, based on your explanation of a 7-game series, the way you spoke, you are implying that the Raptors will play better than they should. But do you really mean that we will be worse than we should?
Yes. That's exactly what I mean. It's not that the Raptors are going to overplay, it's the fact that the Sixers will lose. If we win, if the series will either be the Sixers win the series or the Sixers lose the series. It's not going to be Toronto wins the series. It's like the Hawks series. We didn't the Hawks didn't win that series. We lost that series.
Yeah, absolute facts. And that's why you don't want to go 7 games because look, we went 7 games and they got 27 from Kevin Herter. That kid's
Oh,
never going to score 27 in a game 7 for the rest of his career. That's
doesn't
just
need to.
what
Call
seems
it
like it
back.
could possibly, yeah. That's just what happens against the Sixers. So don't go 7 games because something like that's going to happen. But do I, based on your Raptors will play better than they should? Yeah, I think the Raptors fans don't like to hear it, but yeah, they have a bunch of great athletes. They don't have superstars on the team. They don't have multiple guys that can consistently drop 25 plus. They just don't. So
Pascal.
realistically, yeah, one.
Pascal. All right.
Right, one.
I was just seeing if you were going to give him a 25 a nighter.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think if Pascal drops 25 plus a night, we probably lose the series.
the last time, he dropped a 30-point triple-double on us. So,
He did.
but
37.
multiple.
Yeah.
We should
Oh
we
man.
should at the end of the day, in the NBA, the team with the more elite most elite players should win a 7-game series. I'm not saying it's not possible for us to lose the series. Of course it is.
Every time. Every single time. Absolute facts there, DJ. That is my explanation to every series all of the time. The team with the best player should win every single time. Look at
In
Giannis
7
last year.
games.
And yeah, at least.
There's definitely going to be some games in the series where we look like shit and everybody's going to think the series is over. It's done. We're screwed. Toronto's killing us. And then, we've seen this how many years watching the NBA playoffs. I've been watching it for 20 years. There's always a game or two. Everybody thinks it's over. And the next game, it looks totally different because this team's not shooting 60% from three like they were last game, and on and on and on. Like, that's why it's a 7-game series. I think it's not going to be easy. There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some ugly games, but we're not going to lose to Toronto in the first round.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bet that we're not. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's definitely possible, especially with,
the
Doc at the
more we
helm
talk about it, the more
our
we're
lack of
talking about it,
depth.
the more we're talking about it, the more I'm thinking the Sixers might pull this out in 5.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm talking myself into it. By the end of the night, I'm gonna say Sixers in 2. That's where my momentum's going, dude. I just think I think there has to be so much that goes wrong for us to lose this series. I mean, Nick Nurse is gonna bring everything to stop Embiid, but we have Tyrese Maxey, who is just an all-world improvement player compared to last year. And we have, James Harden, which we didn't have last year. And I know Harden's still not the guy he needs to be, but I don't know, man. I really just think I would be genuinely shocked to see the Sixers lose this series.
Well, here's something that's going to make you feel a little bit worse. In the 1-3 against Toronto. In the 4 games that we played Toronto, shout out to Mr. Crockpot, the painted lines, by the way.
Yes, sir. Love them.
Here's the numbers on Toronto versus Philadelphia in that 4-game series where we lost 3 of them. But again, we didn't have the same team. We didn't have the floor spacing that we have with James Harden. The teams are different. But offensive efficiency, we ranked 11th in the league. They ranked 16th. Total shot percentage, we got them in. Turnovers per game, tied right there, 12 and a half apiece. Their pace is higher than ours, of course. Their offensive rebound percentage is 2nd in the league.
That's going to kill us. That's what it's rebounding. We're going to get our asses handed to us on the glass, especially if DeAndre Jordan plays. No, dude, don't get me started.
Exactly.
I'm going to go on another rant. Please.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're screaming at. That's why the arena's chanting Paul Reed, not just because they love the energy of Paul Reed. It's obvious. You are one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the NBA. Paul Reed, the first game Doc put him in 11 minutes, he had 3 offensive rebounds. Like, the dude hustles. You saw him get a rebound last game at the 3-point line. He went from under the basket all the way out to the 3-point line to get a rebound. He out hustles everybody. And Doc even said it in that post game, 100%. He said Paul Reed crashes the glass 100%. Every single play he's in, he crashes the glass. And we're like, okay, yeah, we know that already. We want you to know that. But anyway, offensive rebound percentage, they murder us in. Free throw attempt rate, of course, we're 2nd in the league, and they are 25th because we have the 2 best free throw foul baiters in the NBA. Foul merchants, whatever you want to call them, man.
Fake MVPs. Garbage players. All NBA second team players.
Yeah, Embiid dropped 40, but how many free throws did he shoot?
Dude, you know what?
Next game, he drops 45 with 10 free throws.
Yeah, dude, he didn't have a free throw in the first half, but his VORP was just garbage, dude.
Let's move on. Their defensive efficiency, they smoked us in all of the defensive categories. Defensive efficiency, they're 10th. Points off of turnovers, they are 2nd in the NBA. Obviously, long, young athletes, they get turnovers, so they score points on turnovers. That's how they made those third quarter runs against us. It was like 5 turnovers in a row. It felt like Harden just throwing the ball right to the defense and not even trying to run back on defense. Like, we'll talk about James Harden in a second too, because this is the kryptonite for a player like James Harden also, who's looking older by the minute. Hopefully a week off, can maybe get him back to what he looked like the first couple games with us. Second chance points, 2nd in the league. Fast break points, 3rd in the league. Literally all of the things that we struggle with, Toronto is top 3 in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then, of course, our net rating starting lineup is better, and somehow, some way, our bench scoring. Our bench scoring is better, but we're both bottom 5. So
yeah, they do not have a good bench. And I was just about to say, I don't really know if the Raptors are super excited to play us as much as we are excited to play them. Like we don't want to play the Raptors in round 1, but I don't think the Raptors want to play us in round 1. Like they don't have a single human being who can stop Joel Embiid. Like
Correct.
it's
Say it
just going to
again
come
for the people in the back.
not a single dude. Like I don't know what they're going to possibly throw at him other than double teams on every single touch. And they might do the same to Harden because I know Nick Nurse was the guy who would double team Harden the moment he crossed half court. And like it's going to probably come down to shot making. Like is Danny Green going to be as good as he's been the past couple of weeks? Is Niang going to be able to step up and be as consistent as he's been all year? Like Shake's going to have to keep shooting well. Like Shake his Shake Milton's literal Twitter name and Instagram is Sniper Shake. But for some reason, the man just forgets how to shoot over the past 2 years. But if he can,
Yeah.
be as consistent as he's been to end the season, finally he's getting healthy. Like we need guys who are going to make their open shots. Tobias Harris needs to hit catch and shoot threes. Quick decisions. Like if Tobias Harris reverts back to his old game when Harden first came here and he tried to be like an ISO post up player who shoots no free throws, like we're going to lose. Like we're going to lose, but we need these guys to come in and knock down shots because all it takes is 1, 2, 3 possessions of a 3-pointer knocked and Embiid will be open and free. And then he becomes the dominant force that he'll be. And he is going to see more free throws than he's seen in the regular season because that's how it goes statistically in the playoffs. And he also averages more free throw attempts in the playoffs than he does in the regular season in his career. So, I mean, that's not going to stop, but
That's wild. I think the general consensus is that there's less foul calls in the playoffs. Like you don't get those little touch fouls. But I think Kayla, who was on the stream last night, who's awesome. She was a former play-by-play announcer for the Blue Coats on Philly Mike's show yesterday that we did. She said Embiid gets more free throws in the playoffs because they're not choosing to not call ticky-tack fouls. He's actually getting fouled all the time. So he actually gets fouled in the regular season. So in the playoffs, he still gets those calls. So that's why.
Yeah.
Shout out to her for that. She was great.
We're too good to lose this series. The Sixers are too good to lose this series. But again, devil's advocate, we were way too good to lose the series against the Hawks. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think to me, the main thing that's been lacking this season or for a couple years, Joel Embiid's pretty much his entire career is the floor spacing and having a point guard at the top of the key. And they finally gave him a point guard at the top of the key. Now, James Harden's not playing like the superstar version of himself, but he's still somebody that the defense has to respect. The whole Ben Simmons era, again, it was just trying to figure out what to do in the moment because the point guard wasn't guarded by anybody and everything was jacked up. So at least we're not dealing with that. I think, Embiid definitely gets a lot easier looks, especially running a pick and roll with Harden. If we run it, the fourth quarter of the last game, we didn't seem to run it at all. I don't know why, but we'll have to see what happens. But I
we
think
need to run it. To run it. It's a dominant play, and Doc just like goes to it for 2 quarters. We build a 20-point lead, and then he just runs away from it for the next game and a half.
Do you think it's him calling plays, or do you think he's just like, here's the basketball, go play, and if they run it in the first half and then they don't run it in the second, it's on the players not running it?
Yeah, but that's on Doc. That's on.
Yeah, that is on Doc. You're right. That's what I'm saying. He just doesn't call anything the whole game, it seems like. Because he'll even comment in a post game. He'll be like, yeah, I just didn't think we had a lot of movement in the second half, a lot of ball sharing, not a lot of action was going on. I'm like, you're the coach. You're not a guy in the stands. You're the coach.
Dude, he watches every game, DJ. Don't you dare talk bad about Doc Rivers. He watches every game.
And to be fair, I would not say that to Greg Popovich. J Love 47, thank you for the super chat. It's crazy to think the MVP and Harden, one of the best home court advantages that no one believes we can beat the young Raptors team in a game 7, but it's true. No, I believe we can beat them. And I don't want to go to a game 7. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it could, I don't have a crystal ball, but I just don't want it to even go there because, like I said, they're our kryptonite. All of the things that we are bad at, they are good at. Points off turnovers, second chance points, fast break points. I mean, our transition defense is one of the worst in the league. We're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Just keeping it real. I don't want to go to game 7 with Toronto. Read one more super chat here, and then where are we at here? Rasan Granderson, what's up, man? Thanks for the support. For anyone worried about Harden, he is just injured right now, not washed. One offseason of recovery, and he will play just like he did in those first 5 games. Yeah, you might be right. One offseason. But the thing about Harden is his workout regimen has never been has always kind of been suspect. He's never been a guy that anybody looked up to as far as oh my god, the things that he does in the offseason is elite. That's the LeBron James kind of stuff that guys constantly taking care of his body, trying to be in the best shape he can be in to get to the next season. Harden to me has lived on ability, lived on quickness, honestly, a lot of his game, beating people off the dribble and things like that. And now it's starting to decline. And, he shows up in Houston like 30 pounds overweight. All of those kinds of things start to catch up to you. It's not a good look because it says a lot about what you do in the offseason. So if he wants to get serious now and say, I want to be good for 3-4 more years, maybe he changes his mindset in the offseason. Or maybe he has $300 million and he doesn't care that much. I don't know. That's up to James Harden.
Yeah. All right. I got a question for you. If given the opportunity, would you jump to a game 7 right now? Or would you chance playing the series and the Sixers possibly losing before that? What would you pick there?
Damn. Well, are you saying not play a whole series and get to a game 7? You're saying if you could play one game against the Raptors to win it.
Yes.
Yeah, I would do that.
Okay. See, that's a question that you got to ask because that shows that you're confident enough to genuinely, unbiasedly think the Sixers team is going to win the series. Because if you were like, I'd rather play the series out, that's kind of just telling me that you think the Raptors will probably win.
And for the Raptors fans in the chat, one more time, the main reason I think the Sixers are going to win this series is because Joel Embiid coasted a lot of this season. A lot of people don't really understand that. Joel Embiid load managed himself most of this season. So all of the Sixers fans on Twitter and Facebook groups and everything crying every day, why isn't this guy under the basket? He's always out at the 3-point line. Why does he think he's a guard? Why is he this? Why is he that? He's just conserving energy. The whole second half of the season, especially towards the end of the season. He's like, I'm going to go out here, jog around, shoot some jumpers, drop 30 because I'm still that good. And then when I get to the playoffs, I'm about to put my shoulder into people, and they're really going to see what's going down in the paint because I think you're going to see an animal out of Joel Embiid inside the paint every game of the playoffs because this is the healthiest he's ever been in his career entering the playoffs. People don't know what they're about to see. This guy averaged 30 and 12. He's probably going to average 40 in the playoffs.
I would love that. I mean, if you really want to see a sample size of Embiid really trying, look at his last game of the year when he knew it was going to be the last game he would play before the season ends, and he wanted the scoring championship, and he put up 41 and 20. I get it. It's against the Pacers, and historically he's had 3 games against the Pacers of a 40-20 game, but that shows you something, dude. When he really, really wants to go out there and just freaking dominate, there's nothing that can stop him. Nothing in the world.
Exactly. He wanted the scoring title, and he wanted that record for most 40 and 10 games in a season.
Yeah, and he got it.
Yeah,
easy.
And he got 40 and 20.
He missed 4 shots that game?
Yep.
It was 14 of 18 from the field. That's unreal.
Yeah, and it's because he was next to the basket a lot.
Yeah, he was just standing under the rim.
He can do that when he wants to. He said that himself. He said, I shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers and stuff, and I can get under the rim when I want to. He said, I try to conserve my energy. He didn't say for the playoffs, but he said, I try to conserve my energy for the fourth quarter, which is a lot of the reason he doesn't have the advanced stats that Jokic has because he takes a lot of plays off in the first half that affect those kinds of numbers, which is why advanced statistics are dumb sometimes because let's talk about who makes the biggest plays at the biggest time versus just who has a better average of advanced, percentages. Yeah. But yeah, Joel definitely strategizes with conserving his energy. And I just think in the playoffs, man, these people are going to see a different animal. On behalf of all Raptors fans, we definitely wanted Philly first round. Raps in 6. Chris Harbin says, hey, thank you for supporting the channel. You are entitled to your opinion. I just I realistically can't see how the Raptors can win this series in 6 games. Who's leading the chart? Like, that's the thing about it. The NBA teams that win a playoff series, they have superstar players leading the charge. I'll give you Pascal Siakam in certain games, especially against us, especially when it's George Niang guarding him. Okay, he's a superstar against George Niang. I don't know if he's a superstar overall. I'm just saying, like, I think we have more star power. We're going to win a 7-game series, but
Van Vliet's going to be tough. I don't know what we're going to do to stop him in Toronto when Matisse can't play, but that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because, dude, he's an absolute bucket getter, especially in the playoffs. So
absolute bucket getter.
And if you look back in 2019 when we played Toronto, Van Vliet had a really, really bad series, like abysmal. I think he made 1 3 that whole series. So I don't know, but maybe he's thinking, I need a revenge series.
Marcus Darty, exactly. Is Siakam scoring 40 every game? Otherwise, Raptors aren't winning in 6 or winning the series. Thank you. Thank you for that, because that's exactly true. What else did I have here? So Joel Embiid has one of the most dominant seasons of all time and is going to be on the 2nd team All-NBA. How do you feel about that?
I hate it for so many different reasons. I hate it, one, because Bleacher Report, a world-renowned Boston Celtics media site, has 3 guys who are voters. And, of course, Embiid's not going to get first All-NBA. But then, when I'm watching Bill Simmons' video of Ryan Russillo explaining the All-NBA teams he picked, he put Luka Doncic at forward in the All-NBA first team because he was like, I wanted to stretch him out to forward so I could put another guard in. But when he talked about Embiid at the 2nd team, he was like, it's never happened in the history of the NBA when you have 2 centers in the first team all NBA. And like, I just don't think it's time to change history. I just can't do it. I feel weird. I'm like, bro, you just did it with Don. Like, you just said it 4 minutes ago. Dude, it's crazy. Like, it's stupid. The rookie of the year, the all NBA rookie teams are the only teams that make sense because it's just the 5 best players and then the next 5 best players. Why can't they just do that in the positionless era of the NBA? Because Embiid is the front runner of the MVP for the 2nd year in a row, and he's still not going to be an all NBA first team. Dude, that's absolutely ludicrous. It's so ludicrous.
Honestly, I think I might take the 2nd team over the first team. The 2nd team is Ja Morant, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid. I don't remember the other 2 off the top of my head, but LeBron. Yeah.
It was Ja Morant, Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, and Embiid, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Dude, I'm taking that team against any team in the history of basketball. The hell? Unreal, dude.
Facts. Absolute facts. We got some people waiting in the Discord, man. My guy Danny Hilt is in the Discord. He's going to tell us what he thinks about the Sixers Toronto playoff series or anything else you want to talk about, Danny, man. Doesn't matter to me, man. What's up, Danny? Wait, hold on. I missed this. Okay. There we go. What's up, Danny? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. What's up?
One thing with Toronto is like I think Maxey has become an underrated defender, and I really do think he could, try his best with Van Fleet. And when we're at home, I think Matisse has to guard Siakam and like try his best there because with Toby or Niang or anybody else, Siakam's just looking at him like, oh, I'm gonna eat right here.
Yeah, are you saying Maxey should guard Siakam? Is that what you said?
No, Maxey should guard Van Fleet.
Okay, Van Fleet, my bad.
Guards Siakam.
At home, right? And then what's the answer?
Away, you
Toronto,
kind of gotta hope. What do you call it? Tobias? Can do something.
Nah. I hate to disagree, but I think ideally Embiid guards Siakam. I would have Embiid on Siakam for the most part, and I would have Matisse on Fred VanVleet. And then in Toronto, you just got to hope and pray Danny Green, somehow still our 2nd best perimeter defender, steps up and can guard VanVleet and hopefully hold. And dude, it's going to be tough in Toronto, man. It's going to be really, really tough. But I don't love Tobias on Siakam enough to allow that. And Matisse is just so undersized. He's way too undersized to guard Siakam, unless Siakam's cooking, and then maybe throw Matisse at him. But he's not really a good on-ball defender. Like, he's more of an off-ball guy. And so I think if you put Matisse on Van Vliet's a guy who's going to run around more to find open shots. I don't know. I think Embiid should guard Siakam.
Who did we have guarding Siakam most of that last game? Embiid?
Yes, it was Embiid, and Embiid got cooked.
And he went off in the third quarter against George Niang.
Yes.
I mean, it's always the third quarter with Doc, but anyway, go ahead, Danny.
I mean, the reason I was going to say that is because I feel like Embiid loves like drop coverage. So it's like when Siakam has the ball, it's not going to work. And like he loves guarding the rim. And if he's playing Siakam, he can't really do that. And who's going to be your shot blocker when Embiid's in the game? Ideally, the best defensive matchup is technically Paul Reed because he's like identical size and hustles enough to keep up with him.
Good
but
call.
He can't shoot the ball enough to play alongside Embiid. So,
I mean, I
said I kind of like Paul Reed next to Embiid.
Yeah, a Doc just won't do it. So,
I think it would be a fun little experiment.
Like Matisse and just put him in the dunker spot. But I mean, like,
maybe. Yeah, I like that. I think Paul Reed's the ideal matchup against Siakam, but that's also asking a lot of a guy who has played like 8 games this year to come in to a playoff series and guard the best shot creator on an opposing team, who is going to be an All-NBA player probably this year. But I don't hate Paul Reed playing the 4 just because he is going to add such offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding like energy that we can like allow Embiid to just go out and do other things. Like Paul Reed's just going to bring it every time. And like, I just love him. He's just so good.
The end of that last Toronto game, I was saying that because Paul had such a good rebounding game in 11 minutes, 7 rebounds, 3 offensive. And then, you take him out obviously for the starting lineup, like, Doc is going to do. And Doc's not going to, he's not going to take chances in the middle of a game. But realistically, if you were going to take a chance, I'd have left Paul Reed in there the rest of the game because he's the only reason we were in it, because he was getting rebounds. He was getting almost a rebound per minute. But, in a perfect world, we would have a coach that would be willing to take a chance on that. Doc Rivers I don't even know if he's going to play Paul Reed, let alone, put him on the floor with Joel.
Yeah, and honestly speaking, he's like the perfect 5 for Harden. He's a hustler and a lob machine.
I agree, man. I agree. We'll just have to, we'll have to see what Doc Rivers does, man.
And then one last thing. I do think Embiid's going to eat, and I saw someone in the comments saying OG can stop Embiid. Really? A 6'8" forward is going to stop a 7-foot monster?
No.
And then, I mean, honestly speaking, it could happen. I don't know. I think it will. But Harden, could have just been coasting last ending of the season, and he could come out like the first 5 games. So he did it in Brooklyn. It could happen again.
I don't think you're wrong about Harden was, like I say, Embiid low manages himself. And I think Harden probably was too. And thanks for the call, Danny. I appreciate you all the time, man. But the thing about James Harden is some of those plays towards the end of the game, he's clearly in ISO situations trying to take a player one-on-one. So it's not like he's deciding, all right, I'm going to get past this guy, but I'm going to go 60%. Like, no, he's trying to beat that defender. And when he was trying to beat Precious Achiuwa one-on-one, I mean, Precious Achiuwa looked at him like chest, like manned up, bodied him, and just swatted his layup into the crowd and laughed at him. Like, it was embarrassing. Dude didn't even jump. He didn't even jump. He just stood there and smacked his layup into the stands and laughed at him. James Harden looked like if he was choosing to go slower than 100%, he chose to go 20 at the end of that game. So do you think there's a chance that we see a better version of James Harden in the playoffs?
Yeah, 1,000%. I'll put money on it. Really? I think Harden will be close, if not fully, honeymoon Harden again. He's got to, man. He has absolutely no choice. This is going to define the rest of his legacy. If he's in round 1 exit with Embiid, they're going to eat him alive. I just think there's so much negativity waiting to kill Philadelphia that it's going to fuel them to just go 150%. They're going to eat them alive. You know what I mean?
I believe that. I'm not seeing it from Harden. I agree.
His last game was good.
To suck in the playoffs.
His last game was good. I mean, he had 22 and 14, and he did it on 7 of 16 from the field, which is better than he's been the last week and a half. So, dude, I don't know, man. Hopefully, it's a tough matchup for Harden, especially if the Raptors pull out his zone. It's going to be awkward if Harden isn't willing to catch and shoot right off the catch, because he hates doing that. He loves that step back three. And dude, I get it, man. At the end of a shot clock, I get it. But just take the goddamn wide open three. Just shoot the ball when you catch it, because that's what's going to make Embiid more dominant. Just catch the ball and shoot it.
I think that's the main thing with Harden right now. Like losing a little bit of athleticism is one thing, not being able to beat guys off the dribble, but the fact that he's not making 3-point shots, wide open 3-point shots, is the main thing. And that's also an optimistic thing, because that's something that can change. He can get back to around 37%, which he is for his career or whatever, of hitting wide open threes. He's at the point now where he loses so much confidence, he's passing them up. And we're like, oh my God, we're almost back to, it's almost getting to the point where the defense can go under the screen because they don't care if you have the ball out there. We need you to make threes. We need you to.
He has no lift. He just has no vertical anymore. Every single time he drives the lane, it's 100% of the time a floater. And I'm like, dude, just take one extra step and take the layup, man. Even the end of the game against the Pacers, they're up by 15. Nobody's in the paint. It's a fast break drive for Harden, and he took a floater. I'm like, bro, there's no one there. Just jump and hit a layup. Do you think, DJ, we will ever see a James Harden dunk again?
I love that you asked that. I have a video on Twitter that I want to show everyone. This was James Harden 1 season ago. 1 season ago. So this should help everyone be a little more optimistic. And I'm the one that says all the time it's looking like his athleticism is gone and he's not going to get it back. But just 1 season ago, this is a 1-minute clip. Here's what he did 1 season ago. Drives and finishes, step back threes. I mean, he was on a list of potential MVP candidates last season.
Yeah, he had a great year.
That was just last year. So then he had that hamstring injury in the playoffs, first game of the playoffs or whatever it was, or I don't know. He played the first series.
Yeah, he played the series against Boston.
I mean, he was just confident pulling up, just knocking down wide open threes, 4 feet behind the line, and then he throws down a dunk right here.
Wow. Look at that. I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah.
That was probably the last time he did it.
That was definitely, I would bet money that's the last time he did it. Yeah, that was just 1 season ago. So it's possible he could get that athleticism back. Ahmad, and it says the Raps' pace will likely break Embiid down. They don't stop running, and their starters do it for 40 minutes a game. The Raps are used to hunting teams down.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, they have one of the highest paces in the NBA, of course, because they have, bunch of young dudes. Man. Like when I was 18, I used to play in this indoor court, right? And there was this 30 and over league, okay? And sometimes we would show up and they would let us play because they didn't have enough guys. And then some of the guys would get so pissed off they would quit playing because they didn't want to play with a bunch of 18-year-olds because we would just smoke them down the court. That's exactly what these young teams are like. They're young and fast. So that doesn't mean that they're going to win a 7-game series. Because to counter that, Embiid's going to wear them down inside the paint.
Dude, the pace of play goes down significantly in the playoffs. Games are just slower. It's not going to be fast break after fast break after fast break like you may have seen in the regular season. It's just not like that. The playoff basketball is such a different animal. And why I think the Sixers team will win in 6 is because the Sixers, this team, the pace of play is constructed for the playoffs. Harden is a half-court player, and he's a pace of play player who can take a really long outlet pass and find somebody on a fast break. But at the same time, he ideally plays in the half court. And Embiid is a goddamn 7'2", humongous individual. I don't think he wants to run him down all game long. And the Sixers are just a better team than the Raptors. So who says the Raptors are going to control the pace of play? Because honestly, if the Sixers are doing their job, they shouldn't. It shouldn't be a fast-paced game because it's just the better team runs the pace. And I think the Sixers are the better team, and they enjoy playing half-court offense because half of their guys can't run up and down the court 3 times in a row, and the other half are just old as shit. And then there's Tyrese Maxey, who will do everything himself.
Yeah, I want to see Tyrese Maxey coming out party in these playoffs. Don Sauce has been waiting in the Discord, man. Don Sauce, what's going on? Don Sauce in the Discord.
Hello.
What's up, man?
Hey, yeah, at my job today,
What's up?
I'm hearing everybody talk about the game against the Raptors and everything. Everyone's terrified. They're terrified of the Raptors, man. I'm just like, yo, y'all need to calm down. Y'all need to calm down. Like,
You got Sixers fans at work that are terrified of the Raptors.
yes, they're all terrified. Like, why do we have to play them in the first round? They're our worst matchup. And I'm like, yo, we're trying to win the championship. We can't be ducking nobody. Like,
It's a fact.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Why? What do you think the strengths are for us? Like, your coworkers seem to think that Raptors are a dangerous team for us to face. You're not worried about it.
well, I'm not worried. I'm worried about our rebounding and our athleticism, but as long as we can stop them in the half court, their half court offense is trash, man. Like, they get all their points on their second chance opportunities. Like, and you think that Siakam's a 25 per game scorer? I don't think he's that guy. He's gonna get 20, maybe 19, but not 25. Not against us.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, there's games too. Like, I wish I would have went back and looked at the stats of how well these players shoot against us versus, everyone else in their young careers. But it definitely seems like they've had games where they shoot the lights out, and they're not going to do that over a 7-game series. Nobody does that over a 7-game series. Hardly anybody does that over the course of 4 quarters in a basketball game. They shot 70% from 3 in the first half, one of those games, and then they came back down to earth in the second half. So, yeah, I'm not. It's the toughest matchup of this of the playoffs. That's what I think. Just because they have all of the categories that we lack. But I'm not worried about it in 7 games. I don't see Joel Embiid losing to the Toronto Raptors in the first round at all.
Yeah, and Siakam had 39 points the last time we played him. That's not going to happen again. I'm more worried about Van Vliet because he kills us every time we play him.
It is true, man. That is true. I agree, man. Hey, thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
All right, Don Sauce. Rasan G in the Discord. My man, Rasan G. Rasan, what's up?
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
Okay. I just wanted to come in with a little bit more and optimism.
Rasan, I love that it's you, and now I remember you, man. You're always the positive one. You're the one.
No. This isn't one of those.
No, I need it.
It's not one of those.
I need it right now. So I'm happy you're here.
Oh, okay.
I need it.
But listen, it was I heard you and Greg talking about the Harden putback dunks or whatever. I just wanted to come in and say he actually had a dunk just 4 months ago. So that wasn't his last one that you showed. He had a putback dunk against the New York Knicks just 4 months ago. So this is just an optimistic thing. Like, when he's really feeling good, that was a time just 4 months ago where because he was resting with Brooklyn and he was feeling good then. So I'm hoping that this little rest time gives him, a little bit of cushion with his hamstring. So he comes out, kind of how he did in the honeymoon phase. I definitely don't think we'll see the 10 points, 14 assists Harden, at least not for the first series. So I don't think anybody should be too worried, especially with this whole offseason. Like, especially next year is going to be scary. But I still have faith for this season. I don't think, we're going to lose to the Raptors. So let's get this playoff run.
All right, Rasan, man, I appreciate it, bro. So you think James is dealing with an injury? Because Doc Rivers came right out and said James Harden is not dealing with any pain and his hamstring is fine.
I definitely 100% think he's dealing with the injury. See, Harden, he's at a point now where all eyes are on him, right? So he's not gonna tell Doc, I'm not feeling too well or da 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 da. I've seen what I needed to see to show that he had an injury. It was I forgot, after one of the games, a Sixers game, the person asked him, how are you feeling? And he said, at this point in the season, everybody has their little, whatever, but I'm pushing through. That was all I needed to hear. Like, he didn't really want to say, like, my hamstring is really bothering me, but he's pushing through it. I'll say he's about like 80%, but he's definitely not at 100%. And when he is even 90 to 95%, man, it's going to be scary, I promise.
Yeah, and I also agree that next season we're going to be damn good because there's things that are going to happen to make this team even stronger than they are right now. And Daryl Morey, still hasn't had a whole lot of time ever since he came in with I got to get rid of Al Horford. I got to do this. I got to do that. It hasn't been that long. So he hasn't gotten to complete, his rearranging of the team or rebuilding the team. So I agree with that. But so you think with a week off, we'll see a better version of James Harden?
I definitely do. I don't know, if it'll be just like how it was at first, but I do think it's going to be better. I don't think he's going to come out shooting 1 for 7 or whatnot, because he understands the moment himself as well. Like, when he first came here, he said, like, this is an unbelievable opportunity. He realizes Joel is at the top of his game. He knows that he's got to bring it. And I really think he will, man. I think we're going to get this one done. And I think we're going to see a better version of him, truly.
All right, Rasan, man, like I said, I appreciate your optimism. I know sometimes you call in when I'm being very negative and I come off probably annoyed because I'm just ready to be negative that night and I don't want to hear it. But I respect the fact that you're always on the optimistic side, especially when it comes to your boy James Harden. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, later. Right when I heard his voice, I was like, this is the optimism I need right here. This is the James Harden fan. He's a James Harden fan, and he still believes in the guy. So, we need to believe too.
That dude should do audiobooks because I have never felt so confident in something after that. I mean, he was just like instilling just calm confidence. I was like, hell yeah, Rasan, keep spitting for him. Keep letting him know. I agree with like everything he said. But I mean,
I hope we see a better version of James than he looked in the past couple of games.
Maybe not even like better, but just more aggressive. That's all I want, dude. Just more aggressive. Just more shots. Just stop being fourth in the team in shot attempts. I hate that shit. Tobias Harris should not shoot the ball more than you.
No, he shouldn't. But I also think James puts in effort to get Maxey going because I don't think Doc coaches during games, and I don't think Doc Rivers in the third quarter is telling Maxey to go to the rim. It's like James is like, here, take the ball and go, take the ball and go. So I think he takes a back seat a little bit just because he's really that kind of player. A lot of people don't think that he is because of all of his numbers in Houston, but really when there's other talent around him, he's really a guy that wants to set people up and be a facilitator at the same time. But I also do think he loses confidence in his shot and starts passing up wide open ones.
Yeah.
Pain-causing samurai. Interesting name. Thank you for the support. It says, no disrespect, but if the 76ers get bounced in round 1, what changes need to be made in the offseason? Who is an ideal Sixers coach? To me, that's a quick answer. You fire Doc Rivers, you promote Sam Cassell. That's easy for me. Sam Cassell is, first of all, he's a guard that has played basketball in the last 50 years. Doc played in whenever he played, the 80s or whatever. But Sam Cassell is just younger guy, gonna be more in touch with the modern day NBA. seems like the guy that you always see clips of in practice that's really working with everybody hands on, like building relationships, being just connected more with everybody. It seems like all of the players in the locker room probably love Sam Cassell. I think to me that's an obvious choice, and it's another reason that I think Doc is out of here, because it's not just that the city hates him and the media hates him. I don't think any of the players like him either. I really don't, especially when you're getting up there and shooting down a young player who just had an amazing game. These guys are probably hanging out at dinner after that game. Like, yo, fuck Doc Rivers, bro. He said that about you. You just had the best game of your career. That was amazing. Drinks on us, on and on and on. Like, I just don't think there's no way. I can't see the team enjoying Doc Rivers. So,
Yeah. My question is, did we bring in Sam Cassell from the Clippers because Rivers like asked us to? Like, I'm wondering that, because the irony in firing Doc Rivers and then hiring the guy that he wanted to be his assistant would just be too funny. I mean, that would be hilarious. Yeah, Sam Cassell is my answer. I think it's because he's never coached. He's never been the head coach of a team. I want that. It's the Nick Nurse effect. It's the Ime Udoka effect. It's the chip on the shoulder coach effect, and I need that shit for a team like this. We have a lot of moves to be made. I think Furkan Korkmaz is gone. I think he's done at the end of this year. I think he's an easy trade. Thank God. He's just going to be a salary filler type guy, and then he's going to go back to Turkey because he can't play in the NBA. Tobias is gone. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of moves, especially if we lose in the first round. Dude, it's Morey's going to blow it up if he has to. And I don't mean blow it up, but like rebuilding. But I mean blow it up, like really try to build around the big three the Sixers have.
yeah, I think the things that we lack are depth. Obviously, young athletic players, even though we might have them in the G League right now or on our own bench during games that Doc chooses not to use. So, yeah, first round exit, Doc is out of here. Tobias is definitely gone just because of the money. Whether or not you think he's a good player to have on your team, a good third option, good fourth option, I agree with that. He's a good scoring third or fourth option. He's not a $180 million player. And when you want to restructure a team or get better at depth or get younger, get more athletic, you need money to do that. That's the only reason. It's the main reason I say that about Tobias. It's moving Tobias's contract more than moving Tobias Harris. I like him as a person. He's not a $180 million player. I don't know how you move his contract necessarily, even though he's played pretty good this season. Maybe he's upped his trade value a little bit in the second half of the season versus the first half, but I think he's definitely gone.
Yeah, I don't think it will be difficult to trade him, dude.
You don't think so?
No,
That
he's only gonna have one more year after next year. Like 2-year deals are way easier to trade than 3-year deals. You can basically convince another GM that it's a 1-year deal. You're gonna have him for a year, and then you can waive him if you have to, or trade him again. Like there's gonna be not a great return for Tobias, but like I think like Morey did with Ben Simmons, you're gonna be surprised what we get back for him. Maybe if we throw in like Matisse or something, I have no idea. But maybe there's something out there that is a sign and trade for Bradley Beal. I don't know. Who knows?
That would be wizardry by Daryl Morey. But
I see what you did there, dude. Wizardry. I see what you did there, dude. Nice one.
Try that.
Nice one.
I didn't even try that. I'm tired. My words that just came out. That's just my subconscious genius right there. A wordsmith. What can I say? I'm basically the Marshall Mathers of YouTube. Daniel Hill said Bruce Brown had more shots than KD and Kyrie tonight. I mean, yeah, that's just because literally in the second half they were double teaming him every play, and they were running that little mid range Bruce Brown at the free throw line play, and the Cavs, they didn't readjust. They didn't say, okay, let's not do that anymore because that just killed us 3 possessions in a row. They just kept doubling KD and Kyrie, and that's what I always say about the Nets. They don't have depth outside of their scores. Who do they got? But the game that I watched tonight, Bruce Brown stepped up. Nick Claxton stepped up, man. So they could be tough. They could be tough for sure.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I'm looking forward to the offseason, though, too. I hate saying that because the playoffs are literally just started tonight.
It's going to be a busy offseason. There's going to be a lot to talk about in the offseason. You're right.
Oh, dude, it's going to be so eventful. Super eventful. Outside of the draft, because the Sixers aren't going to do shit in the draft. But, yeah, dude, I think the Sixers are going to make a lot of moves this offseason regardless of how we finish this year. Like it might literally be like what the Lakers did. Like the Lakers won a championship and then rolled out. I mean, I guess they rolled out the same team basically, but then they traded for Westbrook and made all these huge moves. Like I'm not saying, and again, I'm not saying Tobias Harris has the same trade value as Ben Simmons because obviously he doesn't. But what I am saying and comparing is that Daryl Morey is just going to get more back in return than you expected, like he did with Ben Simmons. I think if Bradley Beal wants to come to Philly, there's nothing stopping us from getting him.
Absolutely not.
He's a free agent.
Yeah, exactly. And teams have room for 3 max players. That's why a Tobias contract got to go. I don't know if you're paying James. You're paying him another year. He has a player option, right? And then he would be eligible for a super max.
Tyrese super maxi. Maxi's gonna get the max.
Maxi's getting paid for sure.
Yeah.
Maxi's definitely getting paid. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be able to keep all 4 of them then, right?
No,
next season.
It depends. It depends because if we re-sign Maxi while we have Beal, you can go past the luxury tax with that if it's a home drafted player because he's a restricted free agent. So we'll be all right. But I don't think the Sixers team is a championship contender this year. But that being said, I don't think they're a first round exit.
So if you had to make a prediction, you'd see them losing in the second or Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean, probably the second round. I don't know.
Which would be potentially
Miami.
I
just think that because the chances of Doc Rivers beating the 2 best coaches in the entire NBA in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs seems like astonishingly crazy. It seems like another universe crazy. So I don't think we beat Nurse and Spo. I think we probably lose the Spo.
Fair enough. I think that's realistic. But also, people are saying that there's Sixers fans that are like, I just want to lose in the first round, so Doc is gone. And I'm like, I don't think Doc is here no matter what happens. Because I don't think Daryl Morey wants him either. Daryl Morey,
it's not his guy.
Rivers, yeah, and Daryl's in charge. The only reason this team looks as good as it does right now compared to when he was hired is literally because of him. It has nothing to do with Elton Brand or ownership or anything. Daryl Morey restructured the contract. He's in charge of everything. We haven't had a GM with experience in the whole entire era of this, the process. Daryl Morey's in charge. I just think there's going to be a mutual Doc Rivers and the Sixers agree to part ways. Like, I think that's how they're going to say it on the TV. My guy Philly Mike last night, he said, because Doc's ego is not going to allow them to put the word fired. He's not going to agree to being fired. He's going to say, listen, if you say it like that, we'll be fine. As long as I wasn't wrong, as long as I'm never wrong, that's okay with me. I'll go to LA. And I don't know why the Lakers want him, but I hope they do.
The Lakers wanted Westbrook, so I am putting nothing past them. Holy shit.
They want to play a bunch of 40-year-olds, and Doc wants to play a bunch of 40-year-olds. So there you go, LA. That's perfect.
And they can go and get DeAndre Jordan again.
Tyler, what's up, man? I work with Tyler. He said, Eastwood, please tell me the Bozo Raptors fans are at Bay today. No, they're here, man. They don't have they're here, man. No, we're having casual conversations. There's not a bunch of nonsense in the chat like some of those post-game lives. I think people have educated takes for the most part. There's a lot of Raptors fans that have been commenting on the videos saying, like, I appreciate your realistic look at this series because I'm not a biased, just blind Sixers fan who thinks like nobody can mess with us, nobody can beat my favorite team. I actually look at the matchups, and I think that's what we all do. That's why we've built followings on YouTube, because we're looking at it with a clear mind and not just up here to rah cheer for our team. So, which is another reason some people hate it, because they want you to be up here rah-rahing for your team and not say anything negative. But nah, it's chill, man. Raptors fans have been cool tonight. Thank you all for being here. By the way, only a couple weeks and you will no longer be in the chat because the Raptors will be gone.
Yeah, will it be like a week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Sorry, man.
Also, I just want to say this. I feel like I say this every time we do this when there's a Raptors game. I would prefer this Sixers team is in better shape than the Raptors are, just genuinely. Unless Scotty Barnes becomes a top 8 player in the NBA, in which maybe he does. I don't think he will, but maybe he will. He's a great player, but he's not going to be a superstar. The Sixers is just a better organization right now. Like, we have Joel Embiid, and him alone will keep us being contenders for as long as he lives and breathes. And the Raptors just don't have that guy. Like, you're not going to get bailed out by a Kawhi Leonard again. That's the thing. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a championship, and a chip is a chip, even though the Warriors went down with injuries and they would have smoked you in the finals if KD and Clay didn't get hurt. But you're not going to get bailed out by another Kawhi Leonard free agency move, because there just is not that guy. He's a one of 2-3 guys in the entire NBA.
Well, it was a trade. They traded their boy DeMar DeRozan.
Right. And it's just not going to happen.
For him. Which,
There's no
honestly, I think you make that trade 10 times out of 10 if it equals a championship. But DeMar's still playing at an MVP level. And, Toronto might be looking at DeMar DeRozan like, damn, man, I wish we still had DeMar DeRozan, man. Add DeMar to this team. Add DeMar to these young players, man. Be a good team.
Maybe. But, yeah, dude, I mean, the Raps are a great organization. They're almost on the level of the Miami Heat when it comes to culture, and culture is undervalued, and it's an extremely important thing, and that's why the Raptors are good every single year. But again, they're the 5 seed, and they're not leaps and bounds, and they don't really have any guys who are just going to take them to the promised land. Siakam's not close. Siakam's probably maxed out to where he is. Van Vliet definitely is. They're all great players. They're all really good players, but they have no superstar, and that's why the Sixers are going to win the series.
Facts. They hate to hear that. And for you guys that keep bringing up the 0-point Embiid playoff game against Toronto, first of all, I don't think Marc Gasol is on your team anymore. I've checked the roster a couple of times. I don't think that's a thing. I haven't seen Marc Gasol in a Raptors uniform in a while. He was a very good interior defender. He gave Embiid a lot of problems, and him plus double and triple teams gave Embiid a lot of problems. Add in the fact that he had a point guard who wouldn't shoot, which made the double and triple teams even easier. And he didn't even have a third option as good as a Tyrese Maxey. So point guard, floor spacing, no Marc Gasol, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden. I'm sorry. Sixers in 6. That's what I got.
It's too much. Dude, it's going to be a really tight series, though. Like, it's going to be a good series. The Raptors are a really good team. I don't know how many times I have to say this before chat understands those words are coming out of my mouth.
They'll never
understand. They're like, oh, my God. And just because Siakam has played like a borderline superstar for 2.5 months doesn't make him God. Tobias Harris was a 50-40-90 guy in January with 23 points a game. It didn't make him a freaking superstar. Siakam's not a superstar. I'm really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, Toronto, Canada, Ontario, every other place, I'm all out. He's not a superstar, dude. He's not. There's like 8 superstars in the NBA. Siakam is a top 25 player.
That's fair. He looked like a superstar next to Kawhi, because that's what happens. You get elevated by a player that brings a lot of attention. Huge breakout. But also, if you look at that Raptors playoff run, it took the whole team to be on their A game. Like, that's what made that run so great. Like, Fred VanVleet in the second round, in the Eastern Conference Finals and the finals, he was incredible. Siakam was incredible. Kawhi was unreal. Like, it took everything out of every single one of those guys. And, it's awesome. Like, those are the championships that other fan bases just enjoy because they were not expected. But this is a much, 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 much different team. It's a different matchup. As much as Jimmy Butler was great for the Sixers, Harden is a better fit for this Philadelphia team than Jimmy Butler was. It's true. I agree with that too. This is the thing that Embiid's been missing his whole career is a point guard that can facilitate, run a pick and roll from the top of the key, space the floor, get him easy buckets. Joel Embiid's never got easy buckets in his career. He's now catching the ball off of a roll, sometimes all alone. Sometimes literally the best scorer in the NBA right now catches the ball in front of the rim. There's nobody there because of the pick and roll and that action. So that's why his scoring went up. We thought maybe his scoring would go down with Harden on the floor because Harden would take some of the shots or something like that. His scoring went up because Harden has made his job that much easier. And the box score watchers that see 10 points from Harden and they think, oh my God, He's terrible. He's not even better. Ben Simmons was putting up those numbers. These are Ben Simmons numbers. Watch the game. Please, for the love of God, for the love of basketball, watch the game. Chris Paul can put up 8 points and literally be the most important player on the floor the entire game. You got to watch the game.
Also, if you
man.
think no one is stopping Pascal Siakam, let me repeat myself. If you think no one is stopping Pascal Siakam, I have a treat for you when it comes to Joel Embiid. Oh, but the double teams and the help defense. But we got Scotty Barnes. He's 6'8". He's tall enough. OG Anunoby is a 6'6" guard. Yeah, dude. Enjoy the MVP. Let's see how many points per game Joel Embiid averages this series. Holy shit, DJ. I'm alive right now, dude. I'm absolutely alive.
Too much, man. You're reading the chat too much.
I know.
I look for membership badges and super chats because I know there's 200, 150, probably at least a third. There's probably at least 100 Raptors fans in here. I don't know. Alan Ayub, thanks for the super chat. I love Dort on our team next season. 3-and-D guy. Yeah, I would too. I mean, is he available? I don't know. Lou Dort's a dog.
Dude. Lou Dort's one of my favorite players in the league. No shot we get him, but I love him.
No shot we get him, man. Ahmed Aran, thank you for the $5 super chat. Siakam got 37 and 12, playing very basic basketball, LOL. Passed out of doubles and drove and shot over Green Harris. The series will come down to Doc. I agree large parts of the series will come down to Doc. I think the series, again, is just going to come down to more superstar power and the fact that we have the greatest basketball player in the league right now.
Objectively, the greatest basketball player.
Not objective at all. He's the best player in the league. No, I mean, him, Jokic, Giannis, those three.
That's tier one.
Yeah, those are all 3 MVP level players. That's why I think so. So speaking of which, Kevin Durant's quote, and I agree with this completely, and this is not just me being a biased Sixers fan. He said, to get 2 MVPs in a row, you have to go up and do something way bigger and better than you did the year before. In my opinion, I feel like Jokic had an incredible season, but Joel's season was just as good, if not better. So I think he deserves MVP. That's what I'm saying. Like, if last year they had even outputs, it's just Joel missed 30 games, so they gave it to Jokic, or they feel like Jokic was better. Now this season, they're on the same level again. That's the season where you should give it to the other guy, because why are you giving a guy 2 in a row when they're both arguably the MVP? You could have given LeBron 6 MVPs in a row in his prime. You could give Giannis MVP 5 seasons in a row if you wanted to. He's always at that level. They seem to always distribute it. And when Embiid had the season that he had, I can't see how they gave Jokic 2 in a row. But I'm not saying he's not a phenomenal MVP level player. I just think Embiid should have had the MVP this year. But, whatever. Yeah. Thanks for the support, everyone. Super chatting. Thank you to JLove47 for becoming a member of the channel. I appreciate that, of course. Yeah, we've been up here for an hour and a half. I think that's all I got. Thanks for coming through, Greg. Thanks for everyone that was in the Discord. Sixers in 6. That's my prediction. I think you said the same thing. Sixers in 6. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a dog fight. It's going to be a dog fight. There's going to be ugly games. There's going to be games where the Sixers look like they are finished, and the fan base is going to freak out, and everybody's going to be off the wagon. But Sixers in 6. That's where I'm at.
Amen.
Anything else you want to say, Greg?
Sixers in 6, baby. I'm going to start it off the same way I'm ending it. Sixers in 6. The superstar of Joel Embiid will put up 35 and 11 averaging on the series, and the Sixers will win it in 6 in Toronto. You little pieces of shit.
I gotta hand it to Toronto fans though, seriously, because when I first started YouTube, I every time I did a Raptors Sixers post game, I had like 500 subscribers, and the video would have 9,000 views, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And it was all Raptors fans. It was 98% Raptors fans in the comments, and I'm like, that is the most cult-like, insane YouTube presence for a basketball team. There's nothing like it. Seriously, anybody's YouTube channel that covers the NBA, when they cover a Raptors game, team, anything, the views are like triple. I don't know what you guys do in Canada that all you do is watch YouTube, but it's
All they have in Toronto is 3 things: basketball, curling, and igloos. What else are they going to do, dude? Of course they're going to watch basketball.
all right, man. Yo, thanks for coming through, Greg.
Of
Shout
course.
out to everyone in the chat. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.